to another episode of Happy Face Holdem. Thanks for being here. Why don't we call it Happy Face Holdem? Well, here in Simi Valley, we have a big-ass Happy Face mode right into the side of the hill. That's why this channel is called Happy Face Holdem. And today I'm bringing you this intro from the Big Sky Movie Ranch. This is where they filmed 204 episodes of Little House on the Prairie between 1974 and 1982. We're also known for that here in Simi Valley. But they didn't just film Little House on the Prairie up here. They also filmed parts of Transformers, Men in Black, and Spider-Man. Pretty cool, huh? But unlike Little House on the Prairie that ran 204 episodes, this is episode number 63 of the poker vlog. But we have a fun one for you today. We get a winning session from Hollywood Park Casino in Los Angeles. And before we get into it, just want to mention we're going to be in Las Vegas from October 4th to October 7th. Join us for a meetup game on October 4th at the Sahara Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. It's going to be a 1-3 game. I apologize for saying it was a 1-2 game in the past. It's a 1-3 game, $500 cap. We're collaborating with Fish Poker and Close to Broke. So check out both those guys on YouTube. I'll link them down in the description below. And check out the new hoodies. Gotta love this, huh? We got the Happy Face Holdem down the sleeve. We got Charlie right here on the chest. Gotta love these things. They're available at happyfaceholdem.com in the merchandise store. Go check it out. Grab yours while they're on sale through October 1st. After that, they're going to be regular price, so grab it now. I'm really stoked with the way they came out. These are the same hoodies that Rampage and Brad Owen are selling. So I know you're going to love the quality. They're super soft, but they do run slim, so consider sizing up before you purchase that. All right, before we get into it, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up, like this video, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and don't forget to ring that little notification bell. All those things really help the channel out a ton, and I really want to reach that 5,000 subscriber mark, and you guys have been showing me so much love. I really appreciate it. And when you comment, you could be entered to win some more Charlie swag. Congratulations to the 5 winners on the last vlog that won Charlie card protectors. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get right into some hands. We come down to the Hollywood Park Casino about an hour from home and are placed on a list for both the 5-5 500 cap game and the 3-5 300 cap game. The 3-5 opens first, so that's the game we jump into here, and we buy in for 300. Fun fact, this casino is next door to the new SoFi Stadium, which is home to the Rams and Chargers. I don't suggest coming here on nights where either team has a home game. Parking and traffic suck. We start by looking at Ace-King offsuit from the hijack. With a premium, we'll be putting in a raise to 15. We want some players with marginal holdings to see a flop with us. The cutoff and the player from middle position who limped will also call, and we'll have a $50 pot going 3 ways to see a flop that's completely monotone all spades, 7, 8, queen. Middle position plays in flow and checks to me. With no spades in my hand, I don't block any flush draws, so checking here seems okay, and so does betting, which I elect to do for $15. I opt for the small sizing, figuring any big spade holding will continue. With only 2 overs, I don't want to commit too much here. Both players call, and we see a turn, which is the 4 of diamonds. Middle position and I both check, and the cutoff tosses out $25. He's a young Asian guy I've played with before, a strong player, and this smells like a value bet to me. Middle position calls, and I decide to wait for a better opportunity and lay this one down. On to see Ace-Jack suited from under the gun and raise the $15. Only the blinds will defend, and we'll see a flop 3 ways with $45 in the middle. And we see 3, 10, deuce with 2 spades, and since I bet with mostly air on that last hand, I balance that with air this time by checking, and the action checks all the way around. The turn doesn't bring any help to our ace high in the form of a deuce of clubs, and the action checks through once again, giving us a chance to see a discounted river card, which brings us some hope in the ace of spades, completing the front door flush, but pairing our ace. The small blind checks, and the big blind decides to muck his hand, and I lay a wager of 1/3 pot thinking I likely have the best hand right now. Really, I'm only targeting a 3 or a weaker ace, and a bet may only be called by better with the flush and the paired board. The small blind does decide to raise the $70. I think about it for a bit and consider a call because he's been a loose action player, but realistically, he has all the 2s in his range at minimum, and there's not only a flush, but also a straight on the board, so in the end, it's a pretty easy fold, and he did show us deuce 4. I then 3-bet pocket aces pre-flop, and everyone folds.
Show something better than pocket 5s, please.
Yeah.
Please, God. Okay, thank God.
God.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's not deep enough for me to confess.
We then look down at Snowman from under the gun and raise to a pretty standard $15. Action gets around to the cutoff, who was that young Asian player I mentioned earlier. He re-raises to $45. Generally pocket 8s would be a fold here, but there's merit to calling some percentage of the time. I think this particular player has a solid game and a balanced 3-betting range. Given my stack depth, I should fold, but I go for it for the vlog, then pray to the poker gods to see an 8 on the flop. But why would we even think we can hit a 12%er? In normal Happy Face Holdem fashion, we brick the flop on 2, 10, 5 with 2 spades. I check to him and he continues for $30. Now I think unless he specifically has jacks through aces, this is a great check raise board. If I had a flush draw, that's probably exactly what I'd do here. But this bet is relatively small for the pot. I decide to fold this one. Later, he tells us he had pocket queens. Moving along, under the gun straddle and I call from the big blind with 3 other players with ace-10 offsuit. Going 5 ways to a flop with 50 in the middle, we flop top pair on king ace-8 rainbow and check our option having a semi-weak kicker. Action checks to the cutoff who bets 45, quite a large bet compared to the pot and also quite interesting betting into 4 other players. But this is a loose aggressive player I mentioned, so I decide it's a great place to call. No need to raise as he could have a couple combos of 2 pair in the spot. Everyone else gets out of the way, and we go heads up to the turn with $140 now up for grabs. The turn comes the 9 of spades. Interesting because there's now a backdoor flush, along with a few more combos of 2 pair, so I'm going to check again, expecting to call any reasonable bet size. But the cutoff does something interesting and checks out of turn. I supposed I missed an opportunity to wager here and potentially take it down, but given everything I mentioned, I decide to check back and get to the river since I have showdown value. The 3 of diamonds is essentially a brick, and again, for all the reasons I already mentioned, I could check. But sensing I likely have the best hand, I bet 60 going for some thin value. I think I'm only getting called by better in the spot, so really, I think I should have checked again here. What are your thoughts on this one? He mucks, so no additional value to be had, and we're going to move along. In the next hand, we have a +2 open to $20 and the low jack calls. When I look down at jack 9 offsuit, I've made some bad decisions in my life, and going back and looking at charts trying to get some study in, this is a fold. I'll note this as bad decision number 1. But we call in the moment and 3 of us will see a flop. The pot is $60 and the dealer puts out deuce 8-8. +2 checks and the low jack takes the betting lead with $20. With 1 over and a backdoor straight, I make the call and +2 folds. This call, it'll be noted as bad decision number 2. Heads up to the turn, we get a 10 of spades and the action checks through. Although we have improved to an open-ended straight, I think there's merit for putting chips in on this turn. Okay, I'll note this as bad decision number 3. The river gives us a pair, so when the low jack checks, now having showdown value, there's really no need to bet, and I check behind, to which he quickly announces he has a full house. Pocket deuces never loses. Glad my straight didn't get there, and sometimes, run bad is actually run good. I then see pocket aces for the second time this session and raise the $20 from the hijack and get called by the short stack at the table from the big blind. Under the gun calls after limping, he's our loose aggressive player, and we'll be headed to the flop with 3 players. It comes out ace-6 queen with 2 diamonds. Having this board basically locked up with top set and the nut flush ace, I check, and the action checks all the way through. The turn completes the front door flush with a 2 of diamonds, and I think it's time to attempt to build this pot, and I bet half the pot for $30. Without much hesitation, the big blind, although he short stack, he folds, and the under the gun action player, he lets his hand go as well. The good news, this is now the 23rd and 24th times in a row my pocket aces haven't been cracked. That's utterly insane. Moving along to see ace-10 suited of the diamond variety from under the gun, we raise to 15. A few players like their hands and decide to call, +1 and both the blinds. So 4 of us will battle for $60 on the flop, which comes out ace-king-6 rainbow. The big blind checks to me and I decide to bet into 3 other players for $25, targeting weaker aces, kings, and straight draws. I think they will all contribute to the pot. Of course, a stronger ace is possible too, and indeed +1 in the big blind, they both decide to call. 3 ways with 135 in, we go to the turn seeing a 4 of hearts. Basically a brick and not really changing much, but bringing in a backdoor flush. I continue betting and wager an amount of 65, about half the pot, targeting those same ranges as mentioned on the flop. +1 is still interested, but the big blind decides it's time to get out of the way. Our pot grows to 265, and we'll be off to the river where the fish swim, and we spike 2 pair. Although specifically Queen Jack gets there and is a hand that could have easily continued flop and turn to my bet sizes, and the backdoor flush gets there too, although that doesn't really worry me, I go for broke and announce all in, and +1 snap calls having me a little concerned. I show my ace-10 and my heart rate starts to slow down the longer he sits and stares at my hand. He just says, "Wow," and eventually slides his cards to the dealer. He never said, but he likely had something like ace-queen or ace-jack and was ahead until the river. I'll chalk this one up to good luck, for once. Under the gun straddled this one and we see ace-deuce suited from +1 and we raise to $30. A questionable decision. +2 calls, and all the way back around to the small blind, who continues for 25 more, and that entices both the big blind and under the gun straddler to complete as well. So 5 of us will see a flop with a bloated pot of $150. The flop comes 8, 7, 4 with 2 spades. Being all middling cards, this will hit the range of all the callers way more than it hits mine as the preflop aggressor, and for that reason I opt to check. +2 likes something about this board and leads into 4 other players for a tiny amount of $25. The big blind calls, and so does under the gun. $25 for me to call with a pot of 225, having 1 over and a backdoor flush. I decide floating this one and seeing a turn isn't so bad, so I make the call as well. Now with 250 in, the turn comes off as the 9 of spades, completing the front door flush. The action checks all the way through, and I've basically given up at this point. The river brings yet another spade, completing a straight flush draw on top of everything else. +2, he bets 25, and the loose aggressive player I've been mentioning, he raises to 100. I don't immediately fold as I'm trying to figure out what hands play this way, and just trying to improve my game. But of course, I let this one go, and the lag wins this pot after +2, he eventually folds. In the next one, under the gun and +1 both limp, followed by the button who also limps, and we look down at Queen Deuce suited from the small blind, and decide to defend for the $2 more since I already had the $5 chip out there, and the big blind checks, closing the action preflop. 5 ways for $25, the flop comes Queen, 5, King with 2 diamonds. We flop second pair and the second nut flush draw. Hard to bet into 4 other players with this, so I check. +1 bets 20, and I'm going to make the call, looking to improve on the turn. But under the gun, he surprises us. He wants to commit the balance of his $82 stack to the pot, and he slides it all in. +1 decides to fold now even though he took the betting lead, and for 57 more, I'm okay with a call. And I'm a little surprised when the big blind after me calls as well. So now we have nearly 300 in the pot, with any further betting action on the side only. We see a beautiful 7 of diamonds on the turn. We don't hold the nuts here, but in a pretty good spot. With a dry side pot, I'm going to check and hope the big blind makes a move, and he decides to check behind. The river completes a straight with a 10 of hearts, and going for broke, and about a half pot size bet left in the big blind stack, I jam for 140 effective, and he snap folds. But fortunately we take down a nice little pot, never knowing what under the gun had. In the next one, we see a premium ace-queen suited from +1. After under the gun limped and our loose action player is still in the small blind, I decide to up my raise size to $40, trying to adjust to the players at the table and assuming I can get called pretty light. It folds back around to the limper, and this is what transpires.
It's up to you. I give you action if you check it down all the way. If not, I fold. Whatever you want. You want
Sure.
I'll check them. Okay.
And so he makes the call and we agree to check it to the river. Most players will make this offer with a speculative hand they don't expect to win, but with my premium, why not? Let's mix it up a bit. We're discouraged from showing our hand due to the bad beat jackpot, I guess, since betting action's still technically alive. And here's what happens on the
What
flop.
a flop for me.
Ace 2, 3, 4.
What a flop for me, and I miss everything.
Queen.
You're winning.
You got a pair. Queen of
Oh
diamonds.
yeah, you're right.
Queen of diamonds.
Oh, there's the flush.
So we brick out and he takes it with ace-3 of clubs, hitting second pair on the flop, and that holds until the river. Okay, moving on to another straddle pot, we look down at 6-5 suited from the low jack and decide to just flat this one. Looking back at the charts, this is a fold and I'm a little surprised to see, but happy to have learned something while editing this vlog. The big blind calls and under the gun player who straddled checks his option, so we go 3 ways to a flop with $30 up for grabs. For only the second time I can remember in 63 episodes of the vlog, we flopped the stone cold nuts with 4, 8, 7, 2 spades. I'm ecstatic when our lag bets pot. I take a moment to consider flatting and allowing the big blind to continue, or trying to get more money in to commit stacks on a clean turn. With the flush draw out there and an action player leading us for pot, he clearly likes his hand, so I elect on the raise. I go for $110. The big blind folds, and there's some commentary from our lag asking if I have 2 pair. Based on what he's saying and all the rambling, he must have something like ace-8 with the ace of spades, or maybe an ugly 2 pair like 7-4, or maybe even 7-4 diamonds. But I'm blocking some diamond holdings as well. After all his banter, he jams, putting me all in, and I have to snap it off. He shows 7-8 offsuit and begs the dealer to pair the board, after I announce that I flopped a straight. The turn helps no one, and puts a 4-liner to the straight out there, and he's bailed out on the river when the 6 of hearts giving us both the same straight.
Everyone loves a chop pot.
In this next one, we look down at 2 beautiful ladies from the low jack. +1, he raised to 35, which is quite large for him. With reasons I mentioned earlier about our lag still in the hand, I opt for a larger 3-bet raise to $115. I guess it's a bit too big though, and everyone surrenders. But you know, in the end, I'm okay taking down $40 of dead money pre-flop. In our last hand, we get dealt a premium ace-queen offsuit from under the gun, and we raise to $20. And only our lag in the small blind will make the call, so we're going to go heads up, off to a flop. The dealer gets things in order, burns one, and flops 6, ace, 8 with 2 spades. I decide to bet half the pot, and he immediately makes the call. I guess he really likes his hand. But then again, he likes every hand. $80 now in the pot, and the turn comes off as the 5 of diamonds, bringing in a second flush draw. He checks to me again, and as I start to place a bet out onto the felt, he mucks his hand. Alright, after a few more orbits, we rack up and we head out. Alright, and if you guys made it this far, do please consider smashing the thumbs up, subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out a ton. Really want to hit that 5,000 subscriber mark, and you guys have shown me so much love up to this point. Here's all the numbers for the session. It was nice to book a win. It's been a little while. Not sure what's going on. I'm sure you guys know what's going on, and I know you tell me about it in the comments. I appreciate all those comments. I love the interaction that we have on the channel, so keep it coming. Don't stop. And I hope to see you in Vegas on October 4th, Monday, at the Sahara Hotel Casino. We're having a meetup game with Close to Broke and Fish Poker. It's going to be a 1-3 $500 cap game, so I'm really excited about that. And then we'll be playing at the Bellagio and probably the Encore on the 6th, on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So if you're in Vegas, follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be posting live updates where I'm playing. If you see me out there, come say hi, show me you're a subscriber, and I just might have a little swag for you. All right, guys, until next time, don't forget to wash your hands.